Hi, I'm Soul Ballard with Embodied docu-series, and today I am monitoring a very cool panel with very interesting, fascinating people with fascinating voices. And we're just gonna go down the line and figure out what is it that you do. Tell us. First, we have Josh.
I'm Josh Del Sol. I came from a background of EMF and technology safety awareness, so bringing awareness to things like smart utility meters and 5G. And lately I've transitioned more of my work into consciousness and into, I did a talk earlier today here on the main stage around the original way. It was called Ancient Wisdom Uncensored, the return of the Christ or the awakening Christ in us at this time of the shift of the ages.
My name is Devon, aka the Black Airbender, and I specialize in Alchemy Breathwork, which is a breathing practice that you can do on the go, beyond the sit-down session in everyday life. And I specialize in Scalar technology and utilizing that on plants and ourselves and in everyday life as well in terms of our environment and bringing more harmony and balance with remote application and also practical application with symmetry.
My name is Otto Gomes. I am a blockchain mentor, crypto mentor, but also abundance coach, and kind of just try to bridge the gap between the transition that we're in right now from centralized systems to decentralized ones, but also the awareness bridging, which is like letting go of the old systems and bringing in this new concept of a capitalism that we can all benefit from and not be divisive and toxic and separated, disconnected. So I'm trying to bridge that gap, give people the awareness to be able to step into this new system consciously and practically.
So it sounds like to me like we're bridging, we're transitioning. It sounds like from a lot of what you're doing, we're coming from one place into another, stepping into the golden age, which is the theme of this event. So before we go on, I do have a question. What is scalar technology, just so we're clear?
All right, so what Scalar is, just to bring it down back to us, your thoughts are scalar, your auric field is scalar, the sun itself is scalar. So this prevalent energy is within all things, all living things, and our ancestors knew this, specifically the Dogon tribe that had Adinkra symbols. And I think it's been 10 years now since they figured out binary code and quantum physics, and they said the only thing in human existence that is close to what we found in binary code is stemming from Adinkra symbols, which also implements scalar in that aspect. So what scalar is, down to the minute level, is two of the same frequencies coming together and canceling it out. So when it cancels it out, it's in harmony, it's in mutual understanding and effect. So what we did for the past 2 years now is people all over the world with different injuries or just taking a photo of themselves with different mental issues, and we place a biogeometrical blueprint over it that stems from ancient Egypt as well, and we take that symbol and we place it on a scalar plate, and the scalar plate emanates over 40,000 different frequencies. So no matter where that person is, they would receive it from anywhere in the world. Now, some people said it was placebo, this and that, and then we took it up another further notch where we did farms. So I had people, different farmers from all over the world, take pictures, and we would put it on the scalar for free. And now they're seeing birds are being, there's more birds in their environment, plants are more abundant, the environment is also more luscious in terms of the soil quality, all with the use of pictures alone, even beyond the aspect of electroculture, which is utilizing things like copper, pyramids with plants to help it grow and expand in that way. So what we can do, just using pictures alone, a picture says 1,000 words, as they say, right? So when you take a picture of yourself, you're not just taking a picture of what you see, but in the invisible, there's thought patterns, there's an auric field. So that gives the energetic fingerprint that we can drive scalar energy to that person or that thing and that object. So not just people or plants, etc., but you can also scalar infuse objects as well.
I actually, I think I know why now we're all on the same panel, and it makes sense because I've been saying this recently. Here, let me just pull this through. I've been saying this recently. It feels like, to me, blockchain and crypto is really just a stepping stone. Everybody's so wrapped up in the trading of it, in this, like, you know, essentially the externalization of self-worth. They're putting all their value and their time and their energy and focus into this thing outside of them. And, you know, if you do that, you're always going to need more of it, right? That's the lack mentality, the scarcity, where we're trying to shift. We're trying to, you know, transition back into re-internalizing self-worth and not needing external anything. So hearing you talk about that now, Scalar, it's like the connectedness of everything. And crypto is really, in my opinion, giving us a visual representation of our capacity, of what we can actually do with this biological technology. So almost to the point where eventually, in my thoughts of, you know, pushing, like looking at the future of this, it seems like the next step of, like, the evolutionary step of transacting energy from blockchain would be just to do it ourselves. You know, I think that's what we're missing. We're missing the trust to be able to transact with each other. So now I can see why we're here, is because there's this visual representation of blockchain that is connecting us. You're working on already the metaphysical. You're doing it, and we're just transitioning people into that. So it's just, I can see that being the path forward. So yeah, just wanted to.
I just want to say, we talked yesterday about ancient technologies and the ancient, like the pearls of wisdom, the ancient technologies, like all of this stuff. I mean, it appeals to me so deeply because it's not that we want to go back in the past, but we want to revive the heart of what is aligned with natural law that was uncovered in the previous golden age, and then bring it forward to this point and bring it forward with the intention, in this holographic fractal universe, the intention to serve the all. When we realize that we're not just here, but we're also the all, it changes the game, right? And so we were talking about, I mean, I want to hear more about this. I want to hear about Atlantean connections. I haven't spoken this publicly before, but like, I have a past life Atlantean connection, and it has to do around responsible use of technology. So I made a film called Take Back Your Power, which was about invasive, harmful technology which caused problems, smart utility meters. And then the In Power movement I co-founded. I would like your guys' perspective on, do you have like ancient connections, either past life consciously or subconsciously or whatever, and bringing the Atlantean forward? And you talked about these technologies in which people were aware of their previous lives and they were able to go back with their, I mean, I would love to hear just any of that kind of stuff. Sorry, I kind of took over the question asking. You said okay?
Okay. Yeah, so it's called Antiquitech. Antiquitech is, if you look at all what they call old churches, ancient churches, and before they were even used as churches, they were actually known as relics. Relics, some people think relics are from like a nun, a saint, and it's preserved at a certain precise, but it actually stems all the way back to a story of how when Jesus came back with his gangs of saints, and the saints, what they did was they would dig up the past lives of their bodies and actually place them in a golden casing and all different body parts. And there's actually relics all over the world that are synchronistically burning year by year. But these were actually ancient healing temples. So before they put chairs in, there's, just like this at the Faina, you know, they had symmetry for a reason, or for a particular reason.
Where the remains of the saints were.
Where the remains were the saints were. So they would get their bones, and I have a theory where, let's say someone's arm was hurting. So the person would come in, and there's actually churches out there that looks exactly like Nikola Tesla's patents and some of his scalar technology. So what would happen is it was a bigger version. It would be in the middle of the church or relic. And if you notice, these ancient places have a tipping point, a tip that is either gold or copper. So what would happen is it would bring in the atmospheric dark matter and energy. And there's even videos of old Chinese temples lighting up using that energy. So the theory is, my theory is what happened is they would draw in the energy. Instead of it going straight to the ground, it would actually conduct into the atmosphere. And they used to have golden chandeliers without light bulbs. And that energy would sprite, like a spriting effect, on the individual, but it would be a geometrical, harmonious energy field that is blasting at the person, so they would heal a lot faster. So my thing is, when the energy would come inside the room, that person would be in the middle, and the saint would bring, let's say, their right arm, going back to their right arm hurting, they would bring the bone of that right arm that would be in glass and gold, in glass and a conductive material. And as the energy is running through the bone, as a person is laying next to it, their mirror neurons is going to start picking up on it and then start healing a lot faster.
That is so cool. I've actually heard the same thing about churches and Santos Bonacci. I don't know if you know that. I interviewed him about it, and he was just talking about like, yeah, that's technology. That's what it is, and that's when I first heard about it. But to answer your question, Josh, yes, I definitely I've never actually checked to see if I had any past life, but it feels right. Like I've over the years just felt around technology a certain way, and this is my theory, connecting my own dots. But I see technology as a, it's a tool, just like anything else in this reality. Tools can be used for good, can be used for evil. But it's almost as if, and again, this is my theory, but it's almost as if technology is being used in a way to tap into, facilitate the tapping into the lower frequencies. Somebody told me this recently that, I forgot the name of the guy that does the magician that started this whole Aldous Huxley, or the guy from Aleister Crowley, right? That it started with him, that he did low vibrational practices to tap into that frequency to get the information for the technology. Yes. The project, what's it called? Yeah, I forgot what the project is, but yes. And Alan Parsons Project, right. And so what was the point? Well, again, my theory that I'm just connecting my own dots is that they were getting messages from these low vibe entities that they know that the quickest way to get into this dimension is by embodying somebody's body. But the problem with that is that the person has to agree, right? They have to be willing or have the free will and be willing to do it. And so technology, right, and this is where I got triggered into it, was the race to quantum. And for years, because of crypto, they're going, oh, we're at 6 nanometers, we're at 4 nanometers, and I'm like, well, what if you get to zero? What happens when you get to quantum? And there was always this pursuit for that. And again, just connecting the dots, I was like, well, if these entities want to be in this reality, and the quickest way to embody is through an entity that has a quantum signature to it, right? But the humans, the things that do have another entity in it already, and you have to get that permission. Well, then technology being embodied by the spirits, by the entities. So it's almost as if like right now we're at the pivotal point. You got AI. Like, why are we glamorizing AI the way we are? Blockchain is an AI. It's a dumb AI though. It's not a smart one. So connecting the dots, just go, oh, technology. If we don't use it for the good, evil will embody it, and that's kind of how I see it right now. And it's either let them use it, or we take it and start doing it ourselves.
Soul said I could interrupt again. I want to ask you, Jeff and I were talking, Jeff Parker and I were talking before the event, and he said, like, a question we both really wanted to ask. He said, and I'm like, yeah, I want to ask Otto this. the perspective that, okay, in a lot of the ancient writings and prophetic writings, like for example, the book of Revelation, very mystical book, it talks about technology being used for the total control of the masses. You could say like the microchip agenda is in the book of Revelation and other ancient writings that I'm talking about. So what is your perspective on, for example, someone seeing the entire blockchain paradigm as just a gateway into that reality that's kind of like unstoppable? Like they're controlling, they're gaming the whole of blockchain. You know, for example, Jeff said, well, slaves have to do with blocks and chains, not free men and sovereign men. How would you respond to that?
Yes, I love that question because it's really only recently that I really came to the, like maybe a month or two ago that I came to the dot connect. And so, in my opinion, this reality has two places to function. You have the public sector, you have the private sector. Very clear. The public sector, anything that any tool that gets introduced into the public sector is always going to fall to the scrutiny of centralized government. It's going to fall to the scrutiny of toxic mindset. You know, like it's what's happening with the crypto projects. You have all these really good projects that are really trying to do a change, but they're stuck in the, oh, well, we can only do it in the public. You know, this is how it needs to be done. We need to be the biggest and bestest, you know, the global level and all that. Yes. So in my opinion, what's happening is the words, because somebody asked me, like, well, what if Satoshi Nakamoto is them, right? It's the evil people. It probably is. It probably is because, you know, to release that kind of information, regardless of whatever side you're on, it's a new tool. And so, you know, it's a matter of who's going to use it. Here it is. So the words that are being used to describe it, all that stuff, I agree. Yeah, I think that's a perpetuation of the old mindset, right? Of the enslavement that's metaphysical, not the physical enslavement, the one that's like, oh, well, this sounds the same. Trading, you know, this looks like what I'm used to, so I can understand it. And so, yes, on the public side, in my opinion, that's evil. That's where evil is going to thrive. And so, until we can take it and use it in the private, and it's going to start locally and privately. It's you know, the true decentralization, in my opinion, is going to start locally and privately, to where eventually, you know, if there's enough people doing it in the private, we're going to be like, are we all just all in the private? Well, let's just be public now, and then it just switches over. But until then, you will always fall to that scrutiny of the public sector.
So is it like, okay, you know, the controllers introduced the ideas and the general concepts and the technological infrastructure, you could say like the internet, just in itself, like blockchain is kind of their baby too, but is what you're saying that unless we use that consciously and unless we transform it with, you know, intentionally coming together and creating what we want within that environment, you know, it stays in the unconscious realm. Is it like that? Is it like they kind of created it and it's up to us to step in and transform it and use it from this place that, you know, this new consciousness that's coming that we can tap into more and more?
Yeah, I mean, what are the, you know, in my opinion, low vibe entities, these things, they can't create. All they do is they take what we create and they will either project it back what they want to do, right, and go like, well, they're, you know what I'm saying? Uh-huh. Parasites, yeah, exactly, yeah. That's all it is. That's all they are. All they can do is mimic or distort the information to make it look like it's new, but it's just to say, you know, they say history doesn't repeat itself; it rhymes, because they can't. If you repeat, you know, then it's obvious. So they try to just change it a little bit. So, in my opinion, what's happening right now is you have a very small conscious group of people in the crypto space that are innovating every single day, and that's all they're focused on. I mean, I'm connected with a ton of projects that they're not advertising, they're not marketing, they're not pushing their stuff out because they don't need to. They really don't. They have the concepts down, they have what they want to do down, that like, we just need to put this out. So those people are putting it out, they're creating, and so what are they doing? They're taking the technology because it's open source, they're copying it and then putting a ton of money into the marketing. So my opinion is that if we are not conscious about the layering and how it looks like, we're always going to fall into the traps of what is glamorized and pretty and vibrant. And so it is on us now to start using the same tools that they're using to glamorize the projects that are good. Not in the sense, because, again, that public-private thing, not in the sense to try to, get the most people into those smaller projects, but at least for the awareness. The awareness piece, in my opinion, that's what's going to make the difference between us, continue perpetuating their things and still feeding their systems, or creating our own.
Does that clarify your question? Good, I like it. Yes, the audience is liking this as well. This is a lot to unpack what each of you is doing. If I had one of you sitting here, we'd have a lot to talk about, and I've already learned a lot. What I'm curious about, so we figured out, some of this ancient wisdom, but what we haven't talked about just yet, we barely brushed on it, is how all this ties into self-worth. And I know everything always ties into self-worth, but how does this all come together? Because as an audience member, or a viewer, you're watching this and you're like, okay, so what is this? Where does the self-worth come in? Josh?
Just quickly, my perspective on that is a lot of what we're going through when we're feeling the compression is a natural evolutionary experience of consciousness waking up. As we realize in our own way the reality of the fractal holographic nature of I am. Does that make sense? So it's like we're dealing with infinity. We're dealing with both simultaneously being here as a man or woman and being like having this oneness experience, and we kind of expand and contract, and we're in these waves. And for me, what comes up is that this is like almost overwhelming to have these insights and awarenesses and to tap into infinity, really, the all, and this oneness, like we're coming into a new expression of unity consciousness. But at the same time, I'm not holding up the image of who I want to be. So am I really worthy? Have I done enough work to be worthy of that new reality? And I think in our own way, we're all experiencing this. Maybe I'm a little bit projecting that, but I know a lot of mankind is experiencing this. Like, am I really worthy with our inner child, healing that's maybe asking to be done, and traumas from childhood and programs, both from past experiences and from the matrix. Like, we don't even know how technologically we're being, influenced. Like you said, the entities and whatever using technology. So, I feel like it's just, I wanted to share that because sometimes we feel like I'm broken, or it's just me, or like there's something wrong with me, or whatever, I feel that at times. I think we all do in this process. But so if you feel that, you're not alone. Like, the tribe is experiencing expansion and compression.
So I like how you brought up different technologies and how you can use them either in a good way or in a bad way, in a sense. And tying back to the self-worthiness aspect, if you look around in terms of technology, it's an expression of us. It's a reflection of us, in a sense. So whenever I hear someone discourage their self-worth because they're comparing to others or a being or they, quote unquote, I say that way, whatever they can do, we can do as well. And that also correlates with what we're talking about with technology and stuff of that nature. And the blueprint is there. It's free for everybody to tap in and use and expand the worthiness that we all have inside.
Love it. For me, it all goes back to the we all give value to these external things in our lives. The society has normalized giving value to external things, and so when I'm talking to someone, I hear the buzzwords of scarcity. I have to ask, what's your relationship with money? And that's actually why I focus primarily on abundance on the money topic, because it's the driving force. Like, they've created a system that it drives, the person is driven by how much money do I have in my bank account? What am I wearing? What's the car that I'm driving? You know, all that stuff. So all these external things. So we weren't rewarded for feeling anything in school. We were rewarded or how well our grade was. So there's all these things of numbers and well, this number is higher than this one, so I must be better. And so there's literally these emotional attachments to these external things that have no, you know, there's no consciousness in it. It's just like, I mean, I guess you can't say it is consciousness. It's all connected, but you know what I mean? Like there's no actual, it's just this external thing. It's not inside. You're always going to have to go after more of that thing to feel worthy. So, right, until you become aware of that relationship and how it feels, and then you switch it, and then you re-internalize. And what does that mean? Well, that's going to be very specific to the person on what they need to do to re-internalize it, because the external thing is going to be different for everyone. But once you re-internalize it, all of a sudden, oh, I don't need anything outside of me anymore to feel worthy. I don't need it anymore. So what happens? In my opinion, money, because it is just a tool to transfer energy, now instead of it becoming the thing that is the thing that is your worth, it now becomes the representation of your worth. And then all of a sudden it's like the bullets that come out of you, because that's your worth is in here, and then that's just like the worth bullets. And my perspective is that you want to now divert that energy towards the things that are going to bring you more joy, they're going to bring you more love, more abundance. Why? Because that creates the toroidal field. That feeds back into your life. The energy that you put out now is going to come back into your life, and it gives you more energy to create more of that abundance. And then that creates the toroidal field. So it really is about becoming aware of your relationship to this external thing. What is it? And then making the choice to re-internalize it so that you're not always pursuing that thing.
And sometimes that is easier said than done. It's a work, it's a practice, like anything else, right? And so you gave us good practical steps. I think that's good. I want to ask the rest of you, what are some of these practical steps for you? You were talking a lot about, am I worthy, right? What is, from your perspective and from the work that you do, how do I tap into this worthiness? Like, what would you suggest if I am asking myself that question?
I mean, something that's up for me right now is the artificial barriers that have been put in place, both in our external reality and in our inside, and we have, that we've conspired with, that we've either actively conspired with or we've tacitly allowed to be put in place. Language is a key one for me that I'm recently coming into, and just understanding there are languages, ancient languages like Aramaic, which I've been learning about, which naturally do not cause inherent division between different concepts. It's not like Greek, for example, does. English does. Mind, body, soul. There's inherent divisions because it seems like our language, our English language and derivatives that we came from is obsessed with like what do you call it? Compartmentalizing and just analyzing and breaking it down. And then you have this materialistic mentality that comes from the language, where is the original Aramaic, like when Yeshua spoke, it was different than what has been translated into English. And this is one of the things that I spoke about. So for example, when he said, our Father, it was actually Abun. And that carries a vibrational resonance that actually, if you could interpret it clearly, would mean something like, "O birther, father, mother of the cosmos," Dabashmaya, let your light shine in and through. So it's this, and the language represents different words or different concepts at different levels of frequency. So, for example, this is like holographic fractal language, where one word can mean sound, light, vibration, environment. And it's like a poetic, it's a unification thing. So I think, where do we start with that? I mean, I love learning Aramaic and getting back to the roots and bringing that forward. But I guess perhaps like being conscious of our language, being conscious of the artificial barriers, and then allowing ourselves, like as we do the healing processes that we're being guided to with, and some with technologies like these, allowing that to be okay. What comes up, allowing it to be okay. Could this be okay that I feel unworthy right now? Instead of, oh, I need to change my thoughts so I don't feel unworthy. Like, could that be okay that there's something expressing itself? And then that détente that allows the tension in my body to resolve. If I can take a breath then, and allow that integration. There's parts of me that feel unable in this moment. Could that be okay? That's been a key in my past number of months to help with this shift. And I have to give credit to my coach, Xavier Dagba, for putting that in my field.
Yeah, for me, it's breath patterns. Breath patterns in the aspect of even looking at an addiction. If somebody is like physically addicted to something, or the allure of getting somewhere or a destination or a goal, were you really addicted to the end, or the experience? And more than likely you were addicted to the experience, or you enjoyed more of the experience getting to that place or getting to that goal or getting to that thing. So in essence, people are actually addicted to breathing patterns that invoke from that thing or that experience. So it starts with really building a deeper relationship with your breath. The breath is so abundant. You take it every second. You exhale it every second. And building harmony. It's a living entity that is within all dimensions of reality. When you're sleeping, you're breathing. In the astral world, you're breathing in a certain way. So it is something that has touch, seen, everything. It has memory. It's a technology. It's a technology in itself. And if we even dive down to Yeshua, or what's it? YH. All right, Yahweh. Right. So if you actually take out the A out of Yahweh, because we like putting alphabets in certain places. If you take out the A out of Yahweh, when Moses asks, "Who are you, God?" and he said Yahweh, but it's without the A. And the YH means the inhale, and the WH means the exhale.
I gave my practical steps. Oh, I'll tell you this. One thing that I tell my students is this. One little thing that they can do, because I get a lot of people say, when I ask the question, what is abundance to you? And most people will say, it's time. I want more time. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. So I actually have an answer to that. Oh, you want more time? I gotcha. Do today something that is going to make you more time tomorrow. Period. That's it. What most people do is they fall to the habit of the day. And so they do the same thing every day, thinking, oh, this is my day. I have this amount of time to do the thing, and I got to do the thing. And then they wake up the next day and they do the same thing. If you take 30 minutes, an hour, and create something for the next day that's going to give you that hour back, and you do that every day, it compounds. All of a sudden, you have exponential time. So that's how the elite do it. There you go.
Love it. So we do have actually 5 minutes left. And Josh asked if you wanted to show us some of that breath, if you're able to do it now. The breath work, yeah. We have 5 minutes. I mean, however long it takes within those 5 minutes.
All right. So everyone in the room, if I can get your attention. Can I get your attention, everybody? All right, we're going to do a mini session, a mini Alchemy Breathwork session, some frequency breathing, tapping into 5, 2, and 8. All right, so the first part of the breath, it's a regular inhale, and it's going to be a 5-part exhale out. So I'll demonstrate. Regular inhale, only nose. 5 exhales out. Go at your own pace. Now we're going to go to 2. Now we're going to go to 8. Now breathe in silence, only with the nose. Regular inhale, regular exhale. Inhaling what the body needs. Exhaling more life into what the body needs in this exact moment in time. Thank you all for sharing the breath.
That's awesome.
Wow, let's give it up. Is this the same reality? I feel like I entered a different dimension here.
And that's something you can do randomly throughout the day, while you're walking, before going to bed. And 528 in particular goes hand in hand with the DNA. It's actually the frequency that gives life to plants, the chlorophyll. And it's a fun experiment to also do. If you can pick a tree for 30 days straight and do it right next to the tree, you'll feel different.
Powerful. And going back to why we were doing this initially, this was to just break out of some of these habitual patterns that we've fallen into, correct?
Yeah, so that helps with shifting breath patterns and creating the aspect of more possibilities. I like to say the external world will rule the way you breathe until you rule the way you breathe. And that's the biggest conspiracy of them all, allowing things or people outside of us affecting our breathing pattern, then affecting our thoughts, then affecting our blood. It's really intimate out here. Anytime. It's parasympathetic. It's not sympathetic, so you're not going to have a seizure or pass out, and it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love what I love about this event, and this is part of what I said earlier at the main stage, is what you came in here for may not be what you leave here with. And that's how I felt with this. We had no idea why you had come together in a panel, and we left with something different. It was beautiful. Thank you to each of you. And yeah, let's give it up one more time. Round of applause.